Hi there. As you can see, the stock price of Nikola went up over 50% in just 5 days, if you can believe this. An amazing performance. In 5 days, a return like this over 50%, you are a great investor. And as you can see, year to date, the stock price is up 25%. Now, you might say that this happened because of a short squeeze. Investors were shorting Nikola, but because this company has good tailwinds, they are doing great, they are building their network, HYLA network, the stock price took off. Now, the question is, and you have to ask yourself, what's next? Will the stock price keep going up from $1 to, let's say, back to $60? Or this will end with another decline? As always happens, when there is a short squeeze, the stock price goes up and then it goes down. So, to assess this, you have to look at this business, the industry they operate in, and what they are doing. Because, as you've seen, Nikola opened its first refueling station in Southern California, called HYLA. Why is this important? Well, as you probably know, this company sells trucks, hydrogen and electric trucks. And it's quite important that drivers have stations to refuel their trucks. Because if they don't have, they won't buy a Nikola truck. That's logic. And if you read more about this network, HYLA network, you can see that Nikola is planning to open 14 stations by the end of this year, 2024. So this is a great news for Nikola, because the more stations they have, the more drivers they can attract, fleets and other companies to buy their trucks. Because when you have that infrastructure to refuel your trucks, you can easily buy a Nikola truck. Moreover, they also opened their first hydrogen fueling network in Canada, Alberta. So their network, HYLA network, is expanding also in the US, Southern California, and also in Canada. And those news push the stock price up. An increase over, as I said, 50% in just 5 days. Also because some investors shorted the stock, they assume that this company will go bankrupt, and because Nikola opened its HYLA network and keeps expanding, the stock price took off. Now, besides this network, HYLA network, Nikola has other advantages. So, this is the first advantage. They are trying to build their own network, HYLA network, refueling station for their trucks. This is a good advantage to have. If they can build more stations, this will be a good advantage for Nikola. The second advantage is incentives from California. As you probably know, there is a program, HVIP, and fleets or other consumers can get incentives from the state, up to $280,000 per truck. Now, this is another advantage because Nikola has tailwinds from this industry, the green transition from gasoline to electric and hydrogen trucks. And so far, if you research more about this program, HVIP, you can see that there are some funds available. For instance, for standard HVIP, the total amount is about $173 million. Also for drayage truck, over $100 million. So in total, this funding is about $200 million. It's not that much compared to their market cap, over $1.3 billion, but this fund may increase in the future. And other states, besides California, may offer incentives. And Nikola can take advantage, especially as they are building their own fueling station network. Nikola will be able to take advantage of those incentives and attract more buyers. So this is great, especially for Nikola shareholders. Now, this is the upside. As I said, the stock price may continue to go up a lot, from 1 billion to 5 billion in the future, in the next 5 to 10 years. That can also happen, as they have good tailwinds and they are trying to build their own network, HYLA network. So far, it seems good. But you also have to be aware of the risk. Because, as you've seen this increase in the stock price, over 50% in just 5 days, you can also have the downside, the risk. As it happened in the past, the stock price went up over 500% and then down over 98%. And you don't want to take this risk, this massive decline over 98%. You only want to have this increase over 500%, 5x on your investment. So the downside, the risk for Nikola is that their revenue is quite small compared to their losses. As you can see, last year in 2023, Nikola made 35 million revenue, and the revenue has declined compared to 2022. Let's say that was a bad year, but if you look at their losses, loss from operations, you can see that were over 600 million. So they got 45 million revenue by selling their trucks, but they spent more than they made. And this is not a sustainable business model. They have to increase their revenue more in the future, and maybe they will succeed with their network, HYLA network, and other incentives, and also to reduce those losses from operations, to decrease. If you see a decrease in those losses and an increase in the revenue, Nikola may do great in the future. So far, if you look at their losses for the last 3 years, you may see a small decline. That's a good sign. But as you can see, the revenue has also declined. And this is bad. Maybe in the future, they will get more incentives. And with their network, HYLA network, they might gain some advantages over the competition. That can also happen. But the highest risk of this company is, guess what? Dilution. As you can see, for the last 4 years, the number of shares for Nikola, as you can see from 2019 to 2023, this number has increased from 200 million to over 800 million. And this is quite a lot. More than 3 times. And if you don't know what dilution is, you can ask me in the comments or send me an email. But to be short, when the number of shares goes up, the stock price goes down. And that's why you see this massive decline in the stock price, because of dilution and huge losses. As they have so many losses, as you've seen, over 600 million in losses from operations, they will need more money to fund their operations, to expand their network, their HYLA network, and build those trucks. And because of those high expenses, they will need a lot of money. And the easiest solution is to issue more shares. They will issue shares, investors that like this company buy those shares, but the value of this business goes down because they are issuing more shares. So if you do decide to invest in this company, be aware that even though they have some cash on hand of about 500 million, you have to be aware of their losses, which are over 600 million, and also their expansion. This HYLA network will require a lot of funds in the future. And Nikola may issue more shares in the future or take on more debt. But this is bad for investors because you don't know if this company can become profitable in the next 5 years. That's why the upside may be quite high from the current level. But if this company, Nikola, doesn't succeed to become profitable, to increase their revenue more in the future and reduce their losses, then your investment won't do great and you may have another decline. You see this increase over 50% in 5 days, but after 1 month, you may see another decline, like this, over 40%. That's why you have to be aware of the risk and don't risk your money. Protect them and invest when you have low risk and high reward. So that's it for this video. And if you have other questions, or if you want to find out other investment ideas, then you can send me an email or see the video description.